I don't want to waste your time, so there will be no intro. Hello, everybody. Today we'll be doing a business review on a product in Dragon's Den that's actually a heated table. I thought this was really cool. I really like the idea, and let's just jump straight into it to see what we can learn from the business as a whole.
Hello, Dragons. My name's Peter Wayne, and I'm the founder of Ocoform. I'm here today to ask for £70,000 for 15% of my business. I've spent many years working within the commercial office interior market, and during this time, I noticed something called the thermostat war. This is where individuals in an office are either too hot or too cold and argue over the temperature. That's why I came up with the Ocoform heated desk.
And then we begin with ads, right from the get-go.
Our desks produce a radiant heat that comes out from underneath the desk, heating the user's legs, their torso, body, as well as the wrists and fingers. We've developed a home working desk as well as a commercial desk, and the reason we are looking for investment is we want to launch this, go big and get the name out there and become synonymous with what we're doing in the office space. So I'd like to welcome any questions, and also please feel free to come and touch one of my desks.
Self-heating desks for both business and home use.
This product is fantastic. That's the first thing. It's amazing, to be honest, right? Whether it's new or it's not new, it's still a good product, right? One thing that people need to understand now is that where the UK is moving towards net zero, which means that they're trying to minimize the energy consumption as for each household, right? So the plan is to basically make every household be able to use very little energy or generate the energy it's using back. That's why they're really focusing on installing solar panels so they can feed the energy back into the grid. The thing about this right now is that these small appliances like heated furnitures, heated beds, heated tables, they help towards this initiative. Why? Because you need much less energy while using these appliances than just to heat like an entire room. Heating an entire room is you're basically heating the entire volume of air, but just heating a small area in the room it's really effective in saving your energy cost, right? And when we talk about the home heating equipment, right, these range of products are, for me, and this is in my opinion, I think are fantastic, and I think that they are the future. But one thing he didn't mention was that it's a radiant. It emits heat through radiation. What I'm not sure, he did mention that it heats your legs and your hands and your wrist, your fingers and your wrist, right? One thing I'm not sure about is how well it heats your finger and your wrist. That means that heat has to transmit upwards through the wood, right? And if it does that, then that's excellent. But I think there are better ways to implement the solution. But let's hear what he has to say.
So the heat is actually coming out from underneath the desk here.
Can you feel it on your legs?
Yeah, you can feel it on your legs, yeah.
He's asking for £70,000 in return for 15% of his energy-saving business.
This fan heater here is 3,000 watts. Our desk is just 260 watts, so you can run more than 10 desks for the same price as that one fan heater.
Exactly as I said. So basically, you need much less energy to actually heat an entire, the space that you actually need.
Peter.
Hello.
I love it when people solve a real, genuine problem.
Brilliant.
I mean,
Yes.
I'm just thinking about me. When I've been working at home this last year, I am that person, puts the heater on, too hot, turns it off, too cold, turns it on, and I'm on, off all day.
Yeah.
So I totally get the need for it. Where are you at in your journey at the moment?
We are sort of pre-revenue. We started the business about 12 months ago now, and we've just got an order for 400 units, and that's with a company called Coble, who will be reselling into the likes of Dunelm, Very Group, Argos, So they will be acting as our distributor, and we're in talks with B&Q, but they're early stage talks at the moment.
Okay, so what does that retail at?
That would retail at 349.
And what do you sell it to wholesale for?
Wholesale is 139.
And what's it costing you to make?
101.
So basically, when you are selling to wholesale, that means you're basically selling to other shops to sell your product for you, right? Normally, for example, wholesale wants to be able to get margins out of the products themselves. So you cannot have like supremely massive margins when selling products wholesale. But if you're selling it in retail, you are basically selling it directly to the customer, right? And you can make your big margins there. But the thing about wholesale is that wholesale brands already have their customers, so they can just easily funnel your product and make your products popular, and it's easier for them to sell your products. That's why some people like focusing on selling to wholesale. Another good thing with wholesale is that they will order in bulk. All you have to do is focus on fulfilling those orders, and you can fulfill your orders and make your money as soon as possible. It really depends on what you're trying to do in terms of your business. If you focus on retail, that means that you're focusing on selling you're focusing on selling your products. You don't know when your stock would run out. But with wholesale, it's basically a contract, and another shop needs 300 units. They sell it, and then you made your profit margins instantly. So it really depends on your business model. But the margins that he's getting for the product right now is very low. If he sells it at 329 pounds, is it 349 or 329? I'm not particularly sure.
That would retail at 349.
If he sells it, editor, you can just correct it in the screen. If he sells it for that amount in retail, and in wholesale, he's selling to the wholesale at 149.
Wholesale is 139.
The retailer is getting a lot in terms of that margin, right? So the retailer might sell it for a cheaper price. We do not know the deal that's going on with them. But that's the margins that he's getting from selling it to wholesale is a bit too low. Even though there is like a beefy margin to get from the products.
I would have expected slightly higher margins.
Yeah, office furniture industry, there's not loads of margin to make in desks. But I've no doubt we can get this for less than £101. And this is where I am open to help.
How did you come up with this, Peter? What do you do? What's your background? What's your living?
So I worked in office furniture for a number of years with my dad's company from the age of 18 for about 8 years, and then I went back to work for him in 2015.
Okay.
He became ill, and I said I'd go back and help him until he got better. But he didn't.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
Worked from home, sort of family guy, really didn't ever want to make it anything big. But when he was ill, I came in and said, let's go for it. Obviously, family need money and things like that. So, 2017, I turned over 860,000. He died in January, and I did that year. So, this is what I sort of focused on, and I had lots of people interested in it and said, go and try it.
And that's where you started. And have you still got the business that you took over?
Yeah, but I'm ready to step away from that now.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear about your father. And
Thank you.
You see, and that makes a lot of sense. My condolences to him, but that makes a lot of sense in terms of the business, why he would go for this business, because he has a background in furniture already, right? So this is naturally something that he would want to pivot to. But one thing I would like to also mention also in terms of the business idea as a whole is that the way to heat it being integrated into the desk may be too expensive for your average person, right? I think it's a great product, but the price is pretty high. Now, depending on whether he has competition or not, we will find out. But I think the price is a bit too high it's too high of an ask for most people, anyways. But one thing I do really like about this product is that if, for example, you make a heating system that is something that you can attach to every desk, right? Let's say the main problems, like for me personally, the biggest problems I have are my hands and my legs, right? When in a room. If I know that, let's say, I can attach, let's say, something on the side of a desk, and let's say blows hot air into my hands, so my hands can feel warm, and also it does the same thing, but for my legs, it can even be the similar radiation method, and you just sell the appliance for that, right? That in itself is a huge market. Why? Gamers, for example, I'm sure if you're played in very cold regions, your hands are usually quite cold. You're not going to be wearing gloves while playing the game, especially on your PC. Gamers are a huge market. Even regular office home office workers, for example, are a huge market. So this business is a business that you can pivot away from, because right now he is right. If you integrate it with furniture or a desk, you may have to charge high margins for it. But if you make it like, let's say, something that's attachable that you can affix to a desk, it's a solid idea. Even if it costs £50, £60 or £70 for that kind of heater that will heat your legs and your desk, your legs and your hands, and you can attach it to any desk, that would be a steal, in my opinion. But that's just me. So,
Peter, have you delivered any of these to this distributor?
Not yet, no.
So the question is, the product's not proven, the distributor's not delivered any to any retail, so you've got no knowledge that they can sell it, they can't sell it. Risk. Now, can you convince me that you've sold so many on your website and there is maybe a light of hope there, direct to consumer?
We haven't sold many on the website. We've sold less than 20 on the website.
20.
Peter, you've spoken.
That is a big problem. I mean, that is not actually a big problem, to be honest. It depends. There are a lot of caveats over here, right? Is it a product that people need? So I think you can factor in products based on the urgency. There are certain products that it will be quite difficult to assess if people will actually buy them, right? But then there are certain products that is necessary, more likely necessary, right? So for example, if people want to save money on energy bills, right, and they don't want to be using their heaters, these kind of solutions are literally what people will default to already, right? But if you're talking about, let's say lighting, for example, right? I'll just use lighting as an example, right? People need lights, but how necessary is it? There are already enough lights, to have, right? But basically, right, Tukur has a strong point here. I think the point will be stronger for a product that basically the use case is not obvious, but this has a very strong use case. So, he doesn't really he has not really delivered any of the orders, right? But the fact that he already has orders is a huge thing. In my opinion, having orders already is a big thing, right? Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're successful as a business. When you're successful as a business is when you're able to keep making money consistently, right? But the fact that he got his first orders is actually a huge step.
You spoke a lot about the importance of building a brand, right? Building that direct-to-consumer business. And you said with the money from the investment today, if you were to be successful, you want to go big and get the name out there.
So with the money, we do want to look. I need help in terms of marketing, definitely.
Do you have a marketing strategy?
No, not.
You don't have any marketing strategy?
Yeah. Okay, but guys, if you're going to Dragon's Den, if you're going to any investor, please, you need to have a marketing strategy. You need to know who you're going to sell it to and how you're going to get the word out there, right? You can't come to present to investors and expect them to give you a marketing strategy for your product, right? It's not a fit. You're still the owner of the company at the end of the day. They're not going to have like 50. It's not a 50-50 split in the company. So this is a big problem I've seen very frequently with a lot of entrepreneurs. How are you going to sell your product, right? If you cannot answer this question, you might as well not even make the product in the first place. No matter how good it is. That's just the honest truth here. You need to be able to have a marketing strategy. I mean, right now, he seems like he's solely relying on wholesale to sell his products, right? But if he says, for example, he's going to pitch he's going to have meetings and directly reach out to offices, businesses, this is already an effective marketing strategy. It's not even much. That was all that needed to be said here. I'm going to go and directly market to offices that need this product, shared offices. Why? I will tell them it lowers their energy cost, right? It lowers their energy cost in the space. It can, like, you can say anything, but not saying anything at all makes it very difficult for an investor to even to even believe in you, that you know what you're doing. So that's just my honest opinion here.
No.
So if you don't have a marketing strategy, presumably you can't give me any future projections about how the business is going to perform.
So the future projections are based on what we're looking at within the retail.
Retail, just to be clear on the point about retail contracts that you don't currently have.
Yeah.
How can you make projections when you don't have the contracts, a plan?
I don't think that's fair, because what he said here was that he does have the contracts and they have already placed orders. I'm just taking it by his words here. He said they already placed orders, so I would assume that there is already a contract here, but it just means that he hasn't yet fulfilled the orders. But the issue here is that if he doesn't have a marketing strategy, he doesn't know how many people he'll be able to reach out to. He doesn't have a target to how many he needs to sell, and he cannot make any projections in the future. That's just the honest truth. But I don't still think, despite all these, yeah, there is risk in terms of not knowing if people actually want it, because really, that's the bottom line for every investor. Do people actually want to buy your product? If you don't know, then that's when there's a huge risk. If you've already proven that people want to buy your product, it doesn't matter how stupid the idea is, it's still a good investment. It's still a good investment if the entrepreneur is good. So, yeah.
We do have a relatively detailed business plan.
Let's do the projections then. So what are the projections for years 1, 2, and 3 going forward?
Okay, so year 1 projection is 1.7 million.
Year 1?
Year 1. Year 2 would be at 3.5 million. And then year 3, we would look at a £5.7 million.
Okay. Guys, wait. We need to do some calculations here. For him to make the 1.7 million that he's basically mentioning, if he's only focusing on wholesale, not retail, because he did mention that all he's doing is wholesale, he has to sell 35,400 desks to be able to make that money back.
Turnover?
But we do not know how he's going to do that. That means you need to sell a lot of desks. You need to be able to go to different offices and tell them that, okay, buy these desks. Which is why I still don't think, despite all this, I still don't think this is a bad business. Again, it can still easily be pivoted away from with the heating system that they have, right? If they can already source the heating system, they can probably get a solution that can attach to desks, because that way you're telling the offices that you may want to pitch this product to that, hey guys, you don't even need to buy new desks, just buy this appliance and you can affix it to all your desks, right? Then the numbers will start adding up, right? And it also sounds much more convincing to the investors. But right now, these are very wild projections, and this is only first year. So first year, the assumption is that he can sell 35,400. Whether he even has the production capacity to fulfill these orders, I do not know. But that's quite a lot to ask for, if considering that he has not even had contacts with that many people so far. He's only fulfilled 300, right? He's on even me giving him the best case scenario, he's only fulfilled 300 of those orders, because he said that there's a company that's willing to buy the desks from him. So he needs a lot more to do to reach those projections. 1.7 million. You don't just pull 1.7 million out of thin air.
Trust me. You gotta trust him. Look at those eyes.
Big numbers. How do you get to 5.7 million revenue in 3 years without a marketing plan and without any retail contracts at all?
So in terms of the retail, we've got the contacts in terms of Coble and the other organisation. We've just got to get the contracts. But I believe that we can get these numbers because people love the product, they love the idea, and they love what it does.
Is this a unique concept idea? Do you have any intellectual property on it?
No, we can't get a patent on it because of prior art. So someone has tried it. There was a company in Germany in 2015 that tried it. And then there's another company in the UK, and it retails at £2,500.
My worry is
you can still ask for a patent. It doesn't mean you can't ask for a patent. Just because they tried it doesn't mean you can't. The implementation may have been different, right? If the implementation is the exact same way now, yeah, you can't attempt it. But if the implementation is different, you can. So for example, he said that he is heating the desk by radiation, right? What he could also say is, what you could also do to circumvent the patent is basically, let's say if you have a heating system that heats, that air passes through, heats the air and blows it on your hand and blows it on your legs, right? That circumvents the patent. And you can patent that technology. Now, that doesn't mean that you have exclusive rights to only selling desks that can heat. No, but maybe that way of implementation is something you can patent. The reason patents usually are quite attractive to investors because it gives them the confidence that they have your implementation. Nobody can just come, if it's better, your implementation, if it's better, nobody can just come and copy and start selling in the markets that you've made that patent. But yeah, I don't think it's not every product that patents are necessary. Don't get me wrong. I feel sometimes people really overvalue what a patent is. Patents, number one, just because you have a patent doesn't mean you can defend it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that this costs they cost a lot of money. Patents do cost a lot of money. But then again, even if you are first to market in certain things and you've already captured the entire market, a patent wouldn't mean that they squat, really. Unless somebody really has a better solution than you, improved upon your idea, have a seriously better solution than you, where it's significantly better to nullify your brand. But it's not for this kind of product. I wouldn't say it's like the be all end all.
Now, any Tom, Dick and Harry can come along and do this.
What, copy?
Yeah.
I'm sure in 12 months' time, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get people.
So you're expecting there to be imitation in the marketplace within 12 months?
I expect that someone would copy when it takes off.
But someone's thought of it before and not made it successful. So it leaves me thinking, is there actually a market for the product?
The market is massive. It's not just...
But if the market was massive, I can't understand why people aren't in there doing it.
I don't agree with Sarah here. I completely disagree with her, because just because someone else wasn't able to do it doesn't mean another person isn't able to do it. we can say the same thing for Tesla. Tesla already existed before Elon Musk became the CEO. But just because the previous owners weren't able to do it doesn't mean that Elon Musk wasn't able to do it. They may have made mistakes. The entrepreneurs may have had problems of their own. They may have had financial issues where they weren't able to fund the development. There are a number of factors that could have happened why they weren't able to deliver the products to markets, right? But I don't think that line of thinking where if the previous people had a problem, you should also have a problem. Then there's no market for it. I don't really agree with that.
I'm not convinced that this is going to work as a business, because I think if it did, it would be already. So I definitely won't be investing today, so I'm out.
Peter, I think it's really clever. Then I go to the phase of where's your protection across the business? You were very honest, you haven't got any protection. Then you go to the place of, okay, well, where's the margin now? But you haven't got a margin play here. And as you increase sales, you might expect that your margin potentially will increase, but I'm not so sure it will. So you've got a really neat idea. You clearly have come up with a great concept, but it's not something I'm going to invest in today, and sadly, I'm out.
I think Peter's points were all valid.
Peter, I feel like it's a great idea, but there are a lot of barriers. The desk for at home, I can't imagine the sort of compelling reason why you'd buy that. And when you go into the commercial environment, I still don't think that overcomes thermostat wars, because I still think people are going to think I'm too hot or I'm too cold, even if my desk is on. So I want to love it, but I'm not convinced. So I'm afraid I won't be investing. I do wish you all the luck, though, but I'm out.
That's fair, because really, truly and honestly, this solution cannot, for you to overcome that I'm too hot, I'm too cold, you need to be able to heat up the important places of the human body. For example, places like your neck. Your neck's very important in how you feel, right? For example, if you don't wear a scarf now, a neck scarf, and you go outside in the cold, you're gonna feel way colder if you don't have your neck covered than if you have it covered, right? There are several areas like that in your body, right? The thing is that this if you're only focusing on desks, you're only cooling your hands and your legs, right? Unless you have some kind of heater that's like a car, like, like all the, how the heating system in a car is, that blows hot air directly on you. And even at that, you're going to start using a lot more energy, because yes, you may cool you, but it's just cooling you, right? And you're just pumping out energy. You're probably going to need maybe 2 times more energy, or 3 times more energy than the desk is currently using right now. So it's not going to overcome thermostat walls, but it doesn't mean it is a bad idea still. So yeah.
Peter, you've got some orders. Unfortunately, you've got no results. You've got a good idea, but you haven't sold any. Mm-hmm. Puts a question mark as an investor. So for that reason, I'm not going to invest them out.
Okay, thank you.
Peter, I got to try the product, and I sat in it, I thought, oh, this is cool, right? But then when you think about the sort of economics of the customer that's going to be buying this, cool isn't enough. I now know this exists from seeing it today, and I still wouldn't buy one.
Okay.
And I thought, so why is that? Well, because I just go and buy a little heater.
That's the problem, I feel, with this product. It doesn't mean you can't, it's not a viable product. The biggest issue over here is that you can buy a little heater, but a little heater won't really still solve your problems completely, right? You can still, but if you have solutions that you can mount onto a desk, I do feel like, that would be a very good sell.
However, my real issue is with the lack of strategy going forward that's going to achieve these very ambitious revenue numbers. And you've admitted that.
Yeah.
I really, really, I appreciate how difficult this was for you today. I felt that, right? But for me, this isn't an investable business. And so I'm out.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
Just so you know, guys, and this is just me, I'll just do one more bit of calculation. He said that he has 300, and then the margin he's making is £48. So he's made £14,400. That's the gross profit he would make when he delivers his first order. So it's not really bad. I personally still don't think it's a bad business. There's a lot of work that would need to be done. I just think he should have come a bit more prepared, but it's still not a bad business. I think it's something he can still pull through and make successful. Hopefully people want the product. The issue right now is the cost of selling it to the offices, right? How much are offices willing to pay for that versus just their current heating setup, where they just have a heater, a centralized heating system, and they just use that to heat the entire building, right? At the moment, if it doesn't, supplement that, I mean, it does supplement that, but if it doesn't replace that, would they find it something that they can, use his heated desk to substitute a regular heater? Maybe not, So, yeah, I guess but the product wasn't a bad product. I think it was a good product. Yeah, and I personally really like it, especially because of we're in winters currently. But anyways, guys, that'll be it for the video. If you liked it, please like it. Consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Goodbye.